Another day in the wood shop. We sliced a lot of plywood yesterday, and there's a lot more to slice today. Probably slicing up about 10 sheets for these covers. And remember that shiplap we made yesterday before I went and had my supper? Well, here's the glue up. Just basic Type Bond 3 waterproof glue. Some screws, doesn't matter, they're kind of long, but you know, it's kind of hard to just get a screw that's 5/8 that's going to hold anything. So they're number 10 by 1 inch screw, and Robertson head for my American friends. Y'all should really get in touch with Robertson screws, because they're, I mean, miles beyond anything I ever see any of you guys use, particularly Phillips head screws. Phillips head screws suck big time. Robertson head screws, awesome. Now you might want to talk about Torx and all kinds of stuff like that. Those are not nearly as good as Robertson. If you use Robertson head screws, you'll know what I'm talking about. Look them up, find them, use them, love them. This is going to get cut for covers. This is already cut to width, and I'm going to cut it to width, and we can make some covers out of that. So that really uses up the scrap wood that I produce. I hope you have fun watching this. Not sure how it's going to turn out, but have fun anyway. So again, here we have my shiplap plywood been glued together for these screws, and so now I just have to take the screws out. I glue them up in, you know, long-ish sections, but you can't go too long, they get unwieldy. So you cut them and then you glue them together again, and just keep doing that. use up all your plywood. Probably wondering what all that cutting, gluing and screwing and stitching and trimming and stuff bought me. Today I counted, and out of one sheet of plywood I cut 8 pieces, just straight cutting them, and then I stitched things together. I cut another 4 pieces per sheet of plywood. So to me that's considerable. 50% more covers out of a sheet of plywood, and the waste is almost zero out of that. Almost no waste at all. So I think it's definitely worthwhile. It gets me what I want. I want my, my grain direction running a certain way for different reasons. I don't need to go into that. You do whatever you want, your beekeeping equipment, and I do the same. So to me that's worthwhile. So 12 covers out of a sheet of plywood, and a sheet of plywood cost me about 40 bucks or so. This is actually pretty nice plywood. This is Douglas fir plywood. Normally I get spruce plywood, but this time is Douglas fir. I think my local lumber store is upping their game a bit on their lumber. I noticed the 1x6s I bought this year were far nicer than I normally get. So that's nice. Now this 5/8 stuff, that was a special lift they bought, and they sold it for nearly nothing. I think it was $20 a sheet or so, and they'll work out just fine. A little bit ugly, but they'll be just fine. And the bees will not be the wiser, but I will. Well, money in the bank, right? So I'm going to keep slicing up some plywood here, and then again, end of the day, I'll do some more shiplap and splice together the leavings. So I hope you enjoy watching this. Well, we're moving on from slicing plywood and stitching and gluing and whatnot to drilling holes. This is one of my least favorite parts of the cover building process. I'm building 80 covers, so this gets a bit old fast. Before I start with that, I want to show you kind of a neat gadget that I picked up. It's not that I can't do math or figure things out or whatnot, but this is a neat tape. It's called a center point, a center finding tape. And what it is it has a normal scale on one side, and then it has a scale that's half that on the other side. So what you do is measure your piece on one side, 20 1/8, and then here it says 20 1/8 here, and you can make your mark. I'm using a marker because it's not really that important that I get it right in the center, but I'll give you a look at this. Hopefully it's in focus. It's just kind of a neat gadget. It was not very expensive, and it just comes in handy when you're kind of too lazy to do the math or whatever, right? You just use the old center marking tape. I'm going to try my Milwaukee 1/2-inch drill. I've got a smoking big battery on it here, so if it works, it's going to last a while. I usually use 110 volt great big D handle. What is it, a Makita I think I have for this, so we'll see how the Milwaukee holds out. I gang drill these. I'll drill them right through. This is a 2-inch feed hole in the top of the cover. So let's see how this Milwaukee is going to handle this. One big problem with a cordless is you can hurt your wrist real easy. Well, I guess any drill, not just cordless, but if it binds, you can hurt your wrist. So I try to give a lot of support here. Oh, we got to go on drill mode. There we go. Go slow for a bit. I find it going kind of in a rocking motion like this, around and around, helps with these Forstner bits, the big ones anyway. Sometimes you get a chunk under it and stops cutting. Alright, this makes a lot of wood chips. And I take them off and I save one for pattern. And I just drill through it next time around. I could start with this one as a pattern. It's got an indentation there. Some of this 5/8 plywood in the middle of the sheet actually looks pretty nice. Some of it on the edges look pretty rotten. I think it's a skid that sat outside a long time. Oh. In the weather. Up to the edge of the table. Hold them down nice and tight. And drill again. Oh, that's not good. Remember what I said about hurting your wrist? I know a young man here, fairly slight of build, not a little tiny guy though, not a monster like me though. He actually broke his wrist that way with a cordless drill. He was in a cast for quite some time. I knew you could hurt yourself, but I've never seen anybody actually break their wrist before.